Okay, doing a head-to-head between three extremely viable concealed carry guns. The middle one, as you can see, is the 43X, the brand new one from Glock, and it is all the rage. It is the new hotness for the moment. Let's see how it stacks up to pretty much the all-time champion small concealed carry 9mm, the M&P Shield, and the new, last year's hotness, all the rage, 6 Hour P365. So I guess new, a year old. So if you just take a look at the three of them laying there, you can already get an idea that the P365 is a bit smaller, and at least in terms of the length. But we'll talk more about that in a minute. A couple of key initial distinctions between these three guns is that the Glock 43X is configured currently the only way you see it here, and that is with a 10-round single stack, well, staggered stack magazine. But there are, as of yet, to my knowledge, no extended magazines available or anything of that nature. The M&P Shield is shown right now with an extended magazine that takes it to 8 rounds. Its standard magazine is 7 rounds. P365 is also shown with its extended magazine, which takes it to 12 rounds. Its standard magazine is 10 rounds. So in both of these cases, the M&P Shield and the P365, they would be even smaller in terms of height if they had their flat base plate standard magazine installed. But I wanted to compare apples to apples to apples as much as I possibly could. I'm going to focus mostly with the extended magazines in the Shield and the P365. Let's take a look at some of the objective data about these three guns. The barrel length for the Shield and the P365 are identical at 3.1 inches. The Glock 43X, a little bit longer at 3.41 inches. Overall length is reflected similarly. The Glock is the longest at 6.5 inches. Next comes the M&P Shield at 6.1 inches. And the shortest gun is the P365 at 5.8 inches. The height gets a little bit tricky because two of these guns have different magazine configurations, which obviously change the height. So I'll give the numbers to you both ways. Let's start with the Glock, which right now has only one height, and that is 5.04 inches. The Shield, with the standard base plate of a 7-round magazine, is 4.45 inches tall. With the extended magazine, the way you see it here, 4.89 inches tall, and that's with the 8-round. Similarly, the P365, with the flush mount standard base plate of 10 rounds, is 4.3 inches. The way you see it here with the 12-round extended magazine, 4.8 inches. All three of these guns are pretty skinny, but they're, again, not identical. The 43X is 1.1 inches thick. The Shield, 1.04 inches thick. I had to measure that. Smith doesn't tell us that number. And the P365, exactly 1 inch. I measured the trigger pull on all three of these guns and came up with the following. 43X is 6 pounds. The Shield, 7 pounds and 4 ounces. And the P365, 5 pounds, 4 ounces. I know some people complained that I wasn't giving the Just an Opinion grip index recently, so brought it back and I measured the grip index on all three of these guns, and there are the numbers. 2.65 for the 43X, 2.52 for the M&P Shield, and 2.48 for the P365. And remember, the lower the number, the smaller the grip. And maybe the biggest difference statistically or numerically between these three guns is in the asking price. The Glock 43X sells for around $450 is the MSRP. Smith & Wesson Shield lists for $367, but the P365 still has an MSRP of $600. Now you're going to find all of these at a lower price. Maybe the Glock will be the least reduced because it's brand new, but there is the difference in the asking price. So why compare just these three? What made me pick these three to do a comparison with, and why not add 5 or 6 others that I'm sure everyone will chime in about? What about this one? What about this one? What about this one? Well, I chose these three, number one, because I wanted to make it a meaningful comparison. If I throw half a dozen or 10 handguns on the table, I can't go into very much detail. But, you know, the Glock 43X obviously is the new kid on the block, new kid on the Glock. And everybody wants to know how it stands up against the ones that they may be more familiar with. Well, they don't get much more familiar than the M&P Shield. It is pretty much the reigning champion. It has owned the slimline 9mm concealed carry handgun space for quite a while. The P365 in the past year has been all the rage, and even though it has had some questions around it in terms of its long-term reliability or its initial build quality, it still sells faster than you can stock the shelves with it. And so those two, to me, were the best to compare to the new Glock 43X. Okay, I've got 3 guns here on the table. I've got the Glock 43X, the Smith & Wesson M&P Shield 9mm, and the SIG Sauer P365. I'm going to shoot all of them back to back. I'm just going to rotate through them. I got all kinds of different ammo here. I got some American Eagle, MagTech, PMC Bronze, Herter's Select, and Remington, and I got some SIG, Elite Performance hollow points. And I'm just going to rotate through the guns and the ammo in no particular order. I'll let you see if you notice anything you prefer or don't prefer about any of them over the others, and I'll tell you what I think, like I always do. So I'm going to start out with the Glock. It's the new kid, so it gets first honors. That steel target downrange was provided to the channel by Tactical AR500 Incorporated. They make amazing quality steel targets at very fair prices. And if you want to save more money than there are already good prices, please use my discount code. You'll see that below, and you'll see it right here on screen too. And remember, real men shoot pink targets, and real men also wear pink gun funny patches. Okay, first up, Glock 43X. Next up, M&P Shield. Hey, here's a little tactical advice for you. I know I don't often give tactical advice, but here's a little bit of tactical advice for you. To maximize your grip, or to keep from minimizing your grip, maybe is the better way to put it. Don't moisturize right before you start shooting. You're welcome. M&P Shield. And that brings us to the SIG P365. Okay, going back through the lineup, back to the Glock. Different ammo. I think this is the PMC ammo. I started with the Federal American Eagle, although please don't expect me to keep track. All right, let's see what we can do with that flapper. About 12 yards downrange is that target. All right, 10 hits. That's a good thing. I won't be able to do that with the M&P Shield. Why? Is it because I don't shoot it well? No. Is it because it's not an accurate pistol? No, that's not it either. It's because it only holds 8 rounds in the extended magazine. Well, let's see if we can do 8. All right, we'll call that 7.5. P365. Clean miss. All right, each one of these guns has a slightly different sight preference. I was thinking the P365 was more of a direct center hold, but no, not really. It likes a little bit of a 6 o'clock. All right, just for fun, let's see if I can punch some holes on paper and just compare. Same shooter, same day, same target, same distance, all that stuff. So as few variables as possible. Let me see what I can do to put some holes on a target with SIG Sauer Elite Performance, 124 grain. This is my carry ammo. Going to start out with the Glock. 10 rounds in the Glock, 10 rounds in the SIG, but only 8 rounds in the Shield. Because you know what? That's what they hold. Actually, the SIG could hold 12, but I decided to top it off at 10. So 10 rounds through the Glock 43. 12 yards downrange. Okay. I think that did okay. I can't tell. Next up, the Shield, 8 rounds of 124 grain. SIG Elite Performance V-Crown. All right. You may wonder why I'm not using at least a rest, a bag or something like that. And I thought about it, but I really want to compare just standing and shooting offhand, because how well I can shoot each gun is a really important thing. And if I rest them, that's still in play, but not as much. Finishing out with the SIG, 10 rounds, and this is the actual carry ammo that I had in this gun in my holster for a while, and it's always a good habit, pardon me while I go break into lecture mode, it's always a good habit to rotate through your carry ammo once in a while. So I'm shooting my carry ammo, and then I'm going to load it back up with new stuff. SIG P365. All right, there we go. Let's have a look at the target. Also, just in case you don't think I have skin in the game when I'm doing my accuracy shooting, there's always a good chance, well, maybe not a good chance, I hope, but there's always a chance I could shoot a very expensive camera. So, got to have a little confidence in myself, in the gun, and in the ammo. But here we go. These are the groups we just shot. Glock 43X. Not bad. Not bad. Looks like about a half and half on and off the orange dot. But that's not bad at all at 12 yards offhand. And the shield, looks like I put a group of 3 right on the bullseye. And then I got 4 where I didn't hit the dot, but still not bad. And then the P365, looks like only 1 clean miss off of the orange dot. All other 9 of them went into the orange, and not a bad group over there to the left side. So all in all, I am not ashamed of any of these groups, but I have to tell you, I still think I shoot the P365 the best of all. Let's talk about trigger for just a minute. I know I told you the trigger pull on each of these guns, but let's talk about the trigger dynamics. So start with the 43X. It of course has the standard Glock trigger that all Glocks have. Actually, Glock has 2 types of triggers. This is a serrated trigger. They do also have a smooth trigger that they put in some guns. Now my understanding is that the reason they decide one versus the other has more to do with meeting certain criteria and numbers that they have to meet with ATF in terms of imports more than anything. So that may be why we have the serrated trigger. I know some people hate it, some people like it. You know, not sure where you fall, but I'll just tell you how I think it stacks up against the others. So of course it is a Glock trigger. We have our trigger safety in the middle. You have a little bit of take up, but not very much. By the time you collapse that trigger safety, you are pretty much at the wall. And then you've got that relatively heavy, but very crisp Glock brake. And this trigger is more in line with the Gen 5 configuration, so it does feel pretty decent. The reset on the trigger is fairly short and extremely tactile. If Glock is nothing else, it definitely has a tactile reset. And then you are right there at the wall. There is no take up, no play at all in the trigger, and you're ready for the next break. Take a look at the shield trigger. Even though the shield is the most popular and best-selling slimline 9mm concealed carry handgun, there are still plenty of people out there that love to complain about the trigger, and it is a bit different in most respects because it does have this articulated joint in the middle, so you have to first bend that joint out of the way, and that's what moves the safety. You see it at the upper back of the trigger. That's what allows it to clear and move its full motion, right? So that your safety is that hinged piece. Well, that makes it feel a little bit squishy, and some people don't like that. But it is a nice trigger, especially on the shield. It's been much improved. Alright, so let's take a look at this trigger in motion. By the time you articulate the toe of the trigger to get the safety to clear, you're pretty much at the wall. And then good break, fairly crisp. There's a little bit of softness in the break, not as crisp. And then the reset, not bad, respectably short, more tactile than it used to be. It's not as tactile certainly as the Glock. And then no extra play, no extra travel. You're right there at the wall again for the next break. Good trigger, decent trigger. And the P365. Take a look at the trigger. So unlike the other two guns, there is no safety device incorporated into the visible portion of the trigger, the part that you're going to see and touch. It is a very nice feeling trigger. The trigger is steel and it is nice and smooth to the touch. It's got a decent radius to it. It's a comfortable trigger to the finger. So when we first take it, we come back about this far. Call it a quarter of an inch maybe. And then you're at the wall. The break is light and crisp. It's got a sort of a dull thud, you know, not really a sharp click, but it is a nice crisp trigger break. The reset, right there, nice and short, good tactile feedback. You can feel it and you can hear it. And then again, no take up, no play, right back at the wall for the next break. So all three of these guns have, in my opinion, good triggers. I think the P365 is the best trigger. Not sure between the two. I'll have to think about that a little bit more in live fire, because that does make a big difference. Alright, here's a quick visual comparison between the three. I've got them all lined up at the back. Push them all together with a straight edge right there at the beaver tail, the rearmost extreme part, and you can see the difference in length. We have the Glock on the right, the shield in the middle, and the SIG on the left. And to look at the height, there you go. There is the difference in height. Again, the Glock is on the right, the shield is in the middle, and the P365 is on the left. This is with the extended 12-round magazine in the 365, the extended 8-round magazine in the shield, and of course the stock 10-round magazine in the 43X. Okay, continuing. This time I'm just going for feel. I want to make some comments about each one of these guns as I shoot them. So I'm going to slow down. I want to feel the trigger. I want to feel the grip. I want to appreciate the sight picture, starting with the Glock 43X. And I can tell you, as I told you probably at the first 100 with the 43X, this full long grip does feel pretty darn nice. The trigger is much more like a Gen 5 trigger. It's a lot crisper. It's still heavy, it's still a Glock trigger, but I don't mind it at all. This one just has the stock sights, which I also don't mind, but I certainly would appreciate some Ameriglows. It just has a really nice feel, the Glock 43X. It's a little bit wider than the 43 in the grip, and I think that's actually a good thing. I like it. I like it a whole lot, this Glock 43X. M&P Shield 9mm. The reigning champ still, as far as I know. They sell more of these than pretty much any other gun made. But so one of the things that people they'll complain about with an extended magazine type grip, and is the fact that you're putting pressure on the magazine base with your pinky, and if you're squeezing hard there, number one, it may bother you a little bit because you can feel it move, and number two, you could be changing the geometry, or not could be, but I guess you are changing the geometry of that magazine position a little bit. And depending on how tough that gun is to its tolerances as far as shooting, you're changing the angle that the bullet is being fed from, and you're doing a lot of things. You could potentially induce malfunctions, and you could very much induce accuracy problems with extended magazines. Doesn't mean I don't like them, doesn't mean I don't recommend them or any of that. It's just points to consider. Okay, shield. Very, very nice set of stock sights on the shield. It's 3-dot, anti-glare rear. Not an anti-glare front. Right now I've got so much glare on it I can barely see the dot. The full grip, though, with the extension is nice. Trigger feels about the same to me as it does on the 43X. I mean, obviously it is a different Smith & Wesson trigger than a Glock trigger. But as far as overall pull feel, very similar. P365. Also with the extended 12-round magazine, same caveat as I just told you about extended magazines. This one is one of the better extended magazines because it continues the shape and contour of the grip in a very natural and progressive way, so that where the grip is curving forward at the base, the magazine continues forward. Where it's curving forward also at the rear on the back strap, the magazine continues that curvature. It has the same grip texture as I've got underneath my talon here. The P365 feels the smallest of all of them. Just like the numbers show, they don't lie, but it definitely feels significantly smaller than the other two. Apparently I don't know how to shoot it though. The sight picture is the very best. The SIG X-ray sights are just about the best out-of-the-box sights you can get on a handgun. The trigger is very, very nice. Soft and crisp, with an excellent reset. It is my favorite trigger among the three. All right, I got to wrap this up or I could be here all day because these are three very, very fun handguns. The Glock 43 is brand new, so you could say it hasn't proven itself, or we don't know whether it's reliable or dependable or, you know, any of that kind of stuff. But you know what? I'm going to go out on a limb and I'm going to say that because it's a Glock, you probably can count on it working. And if for some strange reason it doesn't, you can definitely count on Glock to make it right. That's certainly an advantage. Brand new gun that is essentially proven. If you'd have asked me, you know, 2 months ago what I thought of the concept of the 43X, I would have said probably it's a gimmick. Getting it in my hands and shooting it changed my mind immediately. It is definitely a really good handgun. The long grip is not just gimmicky. It's not just a, hey, we want to give you 10 rounds too, and so this is how we're going to do it. It is a very nice feeling gun. It's just almost, for my hands, it's just almost the perfect size and shape.
I really like it. I really like the way it shoots. I like the way it feels. It won't be long, I'll have a Talon grip on this thing. I will share that with you, show you how to put that on and all that kind of stuff. The folks at Talon already have told me they do have them available, so if you want to get one, but even before you, even before me, get out there and get one, but don't forget to use the code. Is 10 rounds of 9mm enough in the Glock 43? Well, that's a debate that will never end, and everyone will always have a different opinion about it. And on any given point in time, I might have a different opinion on it. I will tell you that there are times when 10 rounds is enough, and there are times when 10 rounds is not enough. All depends on the circumstances and the situation, and I personally pray to God that neither you nor I ever really find out whether or not it was enough. But this is one heck of a sweet pistol. 43X, big time thumbs up. Huge thumbs up. All right, let's move over to the shield. And I'm going to go first with the standard magazine. This is the 7-round magazine. It's interesting that the difference between the standard flush magazine and the extended base plate magazine is only 1 round, just one single round. And you would think it'd be at least 2 with as much difference in length as there is, but nope, just the 1. So one of the disadvantages about the shield is its round count. You know, let's talk about the elephant in the room. This guy is the short guy on the table as far as round count goes. Maximum of 8 in the extended magazine, where everybody else has got 10 or 12. But advantage, turn that, if we want to flip that situation around though, the advantage is you can go with the flush 7-round magazine and you've got that short height, easy to conceal handgun. And then you can carry the extended magazine as your second magazine in case you need a reload. And my pinky just fits on this gun, so I don't really mind it even with the flush magazine. And the shield handles the recoil extremely well, maybe the best of the 3. It really, really does manage the recoil exceptionally well. And I can even get the slide stop to work as a slide release on an M&P. That's pretty good. Yep. There's a reason the M&P shield is the #1 slim 9mm handgun. There is a reason for that. And it's not just because that's what happens to be on the shelf when people go shopping. This is a very, very nice gun. And then here is the P365. Oh, the poor SIG P365, you know. It came out and the internet just exploded when this thing was announced. And then almost as quickly, everybody started going, but it doesn't work, it breaks, it's got this wrong and that wrong, and those were all legitimate complaints and gripes, I think, for the most part. And I even had some trouble with one magazine that was really giving me fits, and I did a lot of experimenting to figure that out. Could have gone more smoothly with its release, and still, I think the question mark is not yet completely erased. But for me, for this particular gun, and this is an early one, this is not a Gen 2 or Gen 3 or whatever, to my knowledge, it has worked. It has worked and worked and worked, and this has got about somewhere in the neighborhood of 1,300 or so rounds through it, so I'm not babying the gun. I shoot it quite a bit. Like the M&P, you have the advantage of starting out with a flat base plate flush magazine. Unlike the M&P, that baby holds 10 rounds. So you've still got 10 plus 1. All right, so now you're carrying a gun this small with 11 rounds. I'm still trying to wrap my head around that, and it's been over a year. The P365 is probably the snappiest of these three. You're going to feel the recoil more with this gun than you will with the other two, and that is simply a matter of physics. You know, what can you do? It's smaller, it's lighter, you're going to feel the recoil. I don't know if you noticed that while I just slammed that magazine in, but it brought the slide forward, so interesting. The extended magazine on this gun gives you a really nice grip. You know, I talked about the angle and the just sort of the flow of the shape continues with this magazine, and it really is nice. It's got excellent grip texture on it, and it now takes your capacity up to 12 plus 1. For a gun this tiny, that is just really incredible. So advantages for the P365 are all those things plus its size. It is the smallest. It's the smallest, and yet it holds the most ammo. I'm telling you, they used Doctor Who technology to build this thing. Hey guys, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. Hope you enjoyed looking at 3 extremely good micro compact 9mm handguns. Now, you know, it's not usually my style to pick a winner because I'm a gun lover. I love so many guns that I just can't stand to say this one's better than that one because it's too subjective. You know, on one day, one is going to be the better tool. On another day, the other one is going to be the better tool. You take a carpenter and you lay out a bunch of hammers, you say which one's better, he's going to say, what's the job? So I kind of feel that way about handguns too. So that's why I typically don't do the pick a winner thing, and I know some folks wish I would, but I will tell you this, and for whatever it's worth, of those 3 guns, one of them came here on my person in my holster, and one of them leaving on my person in my holster. It's the SIG P365 with 11 rounds in the flush magazine, and I keep a 12 round spare always handy. That's my carry. Thanks again for watching, guys. Thanks to Sig Sauer for providing some of the ammo that was used today. Thanks as always to my buddies at Tactical AR500 Targets for providing me these amazing targets that I love shooting. Make sure you use the discount codes that you'll find down below if you want to buy an AR500 target from Tactical AR500. And thanks especially to the Patreon patrons of the channel who truly make this happen and keep the channel going.